today what we're looking at is trying to refurbish a head here. So this is a head off of a Gen 1 750, and I'm doing a little trial. So I need this head to try to see if I can get it back working again for future builds. And the problem, there's really nothing wrong with the head. Everything's good on it. The only thing that's wrong with it, and I'll get a little close-up video of it, is that the head gasket has worn away right here where it contacts the head. And so if you put another head gasket on, you risk having leaks and blowing a head gasket, something like that. So what I want to do is see if I can't remachine that area right there. So let me get a close-up video of what I'm talking about, and we're going to see if we can refurbish this, because you may run into this if you do a rebuild and you find that the heads are bad. They're getting a little harder to find now because they don't make them anymore. So we're going to see if maybe we can save this head. Yeah, so what I'm looking at is where that head gasket has eroded this head. Like I say, there's really nothing wrong with this head, but it's got that big deep groove on one side where that head gasket has worn away. And so what I'm going to do is set up here on the mill and see if I can't make a groove in there. Then we'll make an aluminum insert and put that back down in there and see if we're good. Alright, so what we got here is a fly cutter, and I just took one of the inserts out of my little kit that I got for my lathe, and it's got an angle on it, and so I can set that angle. And what I did was set that cutting tool where it's parallel to the surface, and I'm going to cut the width of that cutting tool, and then I'll come back and see if I can make a little insert. So let's scoot the camera over and we'll see if we can't cut this. I think we're going a little too fast. We got a little chatter. So let's slow this bad boy down. Alright, so we slowed down quite a bit. We'll see if we can prevent that chatter. Take our last little cut and clean that. And there we go. Let's blow that out. Alright, so that's looking a whole lot better. So we got everything out, just a little mark right there I couldn't get out. But everything else looks nice and smooth. So now what we're going to do is set up and make us an insert for that groove right there. And then we'll put this head back together. I can show a close-up of the finished result. Alright, so there is the end result. And as you can see right there, there's a little bit of a pit. And everything else looks pretty good. Almost got down there on that one. So we got a pretty good seal back now. I think now we just got to set up and make us a little shim to set down in there. Alright, so here's what our little tool looks like. It's just a tool blank, and I ground a cutter tip right on the edge of it. Got it relieved, so it should just slice right through that little shim material. So we'll get that set up and we'll cut away. Alright, so we're set back up with the blue base, and what I'm going to do is take a piece of aluminum shim. This is like real thick house siding aluminum shim, and just something to put it on the back of it, and I'm going to mount that up in there and see if I can't cut a shim out. Alright, so before we change tools, what I want to do is get the dimensions of my shim that I'm going to do. So I got my tool in here. That's what I cut with. I haven't took it out yet. So all I'm going to do is lower it down here, and I'm going to scratch on this paint that's on this aluminum, and I'm going to mark what my shim ought to look like. All right, so we are still sitting on center. We didn't move anything. So what we got to do is change this tool out to keep our center, and then we'll just realign. And since I'm still on center, what I'm going to do is just come down and find the position. So I'm clamped on the outside, so if I cut the outside first, I'm going to lose my center. So I got to cut the inside swoop out first. So let's get her pretty close, and then we'll adjust this in till we touch. And there we go. So now all we're going to do is cut around in circles until we cut through that. All right, so lessons learned from the first one, that you can't cut all the way through. So got me a new piece of aluminum shim. So let me come down here and I'm just going to put a score mark on it, and then we'll move over to the inside cut. All right, so we got a circle score in it. What I want to do is cut the shim the width of this right here. So I'm just going to set this up, and we're going to scoot that in, the equivalent of that tool right there. So now we got our tool repositioned. There we go. So we should be through part of it. And so now we'll finish out the rest by hand. That way we don't have a shim jam like we did earlier. So there we go. So we're almost cut through. You can see. So what I'll do is just wiggle that on out of there. There we go. Much nicer that way. A lot cleaner circles. Okay, so let's get a pair of cutters and let's cut this circle out, and then we should have us a shim. And there we go. Nice little shim. So we'll just smooth these edges off a little bit, and then we'll be back to see if it fits the head. All right, so we're all sanded down, and our little ring looks like it fits good. So what I'm going to do is just take some of this multi-purpose spray adhesive just to hold it in place. Just put a little on my finger and just wipe it down in this groove right here. Not very thick. That'll be enough to hold that in there. Then dry it a little sticky. We can set our new seal in there. And that spray adhesive ought to hold it in place, so when we flip the head over, we won't have any issues with it popping out of there. So we can just check it. Make sure it's all the way down in there. And there we go. So we have successfully re-shimmed our head. We can clamp that together and we should be in good shape. Well, alrighty. Well, thanks for watching.